In this week's episode of the establishment giving the middle finger to literally anyone who isn't one of their chosen candidates, Anjou Yang becomes the most recent victims of the establishment trying to make every single outsider look foolish. So, most of you all should at this point be more than aware of Anjou Yang. Anjou Yang is the Asian guy who can do math, as he refers to himself. But he is also the candidate who was pushing for the concept of UBI, which he plans on paying for through a VAT tax, which is a value-added tax. Now, I personally don't agree with all of Yang's policies, but I don't think that we can pretend at this point that he is not an outsider, because he is. He, for a lot of progressives, he is a little bit on the too much so on the libertarian side, but a lot of people who are progressives still love him. And guess what? All that's totally irrelevant from what I'm about to tell you, and here's why. MSNBC decided to finally include Yang in the conversation about 2020 candidates. You know, he is going to be on the debate stage. He did qualify pretty damn early, too, compared to all the other establishment candidates who qualified. He qualified pretty early. And there was a lot of complaints because when the debate stage was being discussed on one network, Yang's name was completely left off. Polling and everything. And he was actually polling better than one of the people they included on the damn image. Now, they tried to set him up again on MSNBC, and I'm glad Kyle Kalinske caught this. So this is what they have Yang's platform as on MSNBC. Term limits, okay, that sounds pretty good. No problem there. Voting age 16, not that bad either. Pay college athletes. I love it, but I do feel like they're trying to slight him because there are a lot of people, for whatever reason, still think that idea is ludicrous in the mainstream because the NCAA, you know, they're basically one big slave driving organization, for being honest. Eliminate the penny? Okay. All right. I don't think that's really part of his platform. I think that was just a statement he made because he felt like the penny is useless from an economic perspective. But let me give mainstream benefit of the doubt here, even though they haven't earned it. Let's continue. Decriminalize opioids. Well, that's super specific. And I feel like you might be trying to take advantage of the emotional appeal that the opioid crisis has brought onto the United States, taking advantage of a very serious situation by trying to allege that this man wants everybody to be addicted to opioids. That's what it sounds like to me. I don't know. Let's read the last one. Self-driving cars. Y'all, don't get me wrong. I'm actually for the voting age being 16 because if you can be tried as an adult in most states at 16, I don't see why you shouldn't be able to vote. At once upon a time, to my understanding, you were actually able to fight in a war at 16 if your parents signed off on it. And I know a lot of states you can get married at 16 if your parents sign off on it. So I don't understand why you wouldn't be able to vote when your life, you're about to become an adult where all these laws directly affect you and impact your life. So term limits, 100% agree with. But I want to be clear about something. This isn't really Yang's platform, and they were trying to make Yang look foolish here. Can we all agree on that? Like, even Kyle got this. That's why I love his tweet. He said, I'm not a Yang supporter, but look at how MSNBC treats his campaign. This is shameful. Anybody who isn't in the club gets scorn and derision. Is that not true? Let me tell you something, people. Once again, I've endorsed Tulsi Gabbard. That's my candidate. If she doesn't win, I prefer Bernie Sanders to win. But come on, bruh. You can go to Yang's website. That's all MSNBC had to do is go to Yang's website for a second. Freedom dividend. This is just under the economics and jobs and labor. Freedom dividend. Human-centered capitalism. Reduce the student loan burden. Implement mandatory paid leave policy. right to privacy, abortion, and contraception, carbon fee and dividend, make it easy for Americans to move for work, value-added tax, make it easier to save for retirement, promote vocational education, zoning, free financial counseling for all, decrease pretrial cash bail, paid family leave, fight for equal pay, legalize marijuana, provide basic banking services through the post offices, prosperity grants. I mean, that's just for the economy, environment, the freedom dividend once again, combat climate change, preservation in public lands and water, reduce wildfires, carbon fee and dividend, reduce packaging and waste, rebuild American infrastructure, nuclear energy, grid modernization, race to the top. The penny makes no sense. So you couldn't even include the one thing that Yang has basically been running on, that he has talked about nonstop since he's announced, which is the UBI, or what he calls a freedom dividend. But on top of that, you try and trivialize a campaign platform that I know it took a lot of time and probably labor hours to put together a policy platform as detailed and as extensive as the one that Yang has laid out on his website. Like, that is frustrating to me. What is the point of you going out of your way to be so detailed in your policy? Because this is one thing that as a progressive and as a voter, we complain about a lot, is that like the Pete Buttigieg of the world refuse to introduce a plan. And then for those who do introduce plans, it's like they haven't actually flushed out their plans. They're just saying something just to say it. And I can say that even though I don't always agree with Anjou Yang or his policies in some instances, I can appreciate the fact that he went out of his way to be that detailed about what he plans to bring to the table if he were to be elected president. And yet the mainstream, once again, attempts to trivialize how much effort and energy he put into making his entire policy platform available to the public. I'm tired of it, man. It's old. They blocked out Marianne Williamson from the debate. They're blocking out Tulsi from the debate. They're still smearing Bernie whenever they can. Whoopi Goldberg embarrassed herself on The View, saying that, oh, you know, one thing I really like that, oh man, who did she say? I think she said Warren or Buttigieg or some establishment hack. So one thing I really like that they talked about is making sure that the corporate oligarchs pay their fair share of taxes. And that's the first time I really heard something like that. Saying that in front of Bernie Sanders is what Whoopi Goldberg did. Like, it's like a non-stop parade of just lunacy. It makes no sense. I mean, it makes sense to them, but it makes no sense if you're talking about winning. Put your best candidates forward. Let them put their best policies forward and let the voter decide now. Because if the voter doesn't decide now, you will pay for it later. Did we forget that Donald Trump is still president in 2019 for that very reason? Let the voters decide who they believe is best to run this country and who is best to represent the Democratic Party in the general election, not the establishment elite. Because you will end up with Trump 2020 if you keep up this kind of behavior. And you can't blame Russia. Not this time. Thanks for watching that segment of Mi Casa es Su Casa. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Roku TV, and on JustNForm.com. Also, you can make sure that you're subscribed to the channel by going to the subscribe button, pressing it, and hitting that notification bell to get all of our notifications. And of course, you can help us reach our goal of 500 patrons on Patreon by supporting the show by donating as little as $1. You can click on the link in the description below for that. And remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.